Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Vihangam Yo Global Online Forum. My name once again is Abhinav, coming to you from Sydney, and I'm super excited once again to bring to you another week of an exciting conversation on the Vihangam Yo platform to all of you wonderful listeners. Last week we started the journey on understanding meaningful relationships and how to form, sustain, develop these in our lives through the lens of York and spirituality. The reason we think this is really important in today's day and time is that, as we become more and more interconnected as a species, as a person in your family, with someone who lives, thousands of miles away from you, the importance of being able to understand another person and form a meaningful relationship with them is becoming more and more important in life. And when we look at the principles around, empathy, understanding, developing yourself, a lot of these have been demystified in the world of spirituality. So last week we started this journey with Sri Subhash from Singapore, and this week I'm really excited to bring to you the second part of that conversation, just to rehash some of the things we discussed last time. Subhash very gracefully and graciously answered questions that I posed to him around what a meaningful relationship is, how we can actually develop these relationships when the vibe is very different with the person in front of you, and also what to do when you have a meaningful relationship with someone but you want to bring something up to them. Maybe they're doing something harmful for them for their own lives, or they're behaving in a way that isn't the way they want to behave but they're not aware of it. So if you're interested in understanding some of those concepts and how it all ties into spiritual philosophy and the application of spirituality, I should say, through yoga and a yogic lifestyle, I definitely encourage you to check that out on our YouTube channel. So without further ado, we're back where we left off last time. I'm going to pass the reins over to that conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. And let's meet back in about 30 minutes or so. So, Jai Sudev, and I hope you enjoy the second part of our conversation with Sri Subhash Chandra from Singapore on the topic of forming meaningful relationships, the magic of yoga. And I think that what you've really brought forward there, and I think it's really important for all of us to understand, is truth and how it interacts with our personal relationships is so important, because if you don't, like you just said, if you're telling the truth just for the sake of telling the truth, then that's very selfish. But if you are telling the truth for the purpose of helping a person grow, helping a person understand where perhaps they went wrong, and understanding where you went wrong and where you can improve, then, like you said earlier, Subhash, it also, it gives this a deeper sense to that relationship that is not really just focused on you and your philosophy, but also it's more welcoming, it's more, it's more kind and comforting. Um, and as you were explaining that, I was thinking about something that some of us have struggled with in our lives, which is if we take a step back from family relationships for a moment and just think about friendship, in your personal life, when we're younger, a lot of us have had this experience where, we think we're friends with someone, but actually, when you look back on it in 5 years' time, they were actually a very bad influence in your life, where, maybe that person, you really think highly of them, and, they're being rude to you, they're telling you to do things that maybe you're not sure about, but because you're a kind person, or but because you think that they're a good person at heart, you start to change yourself just to make that other person happy. So I guess, where would you, in your understanding of the wisdom of the masters, where should we draw the line between, being too selfless in a relationship and having a bit of, I guess, self-respect and a bit of understanding of where, you're willing to say this isn't for me, and you're able to step away from that relationship or that friendship?
Yeah, I think this one is quite tricky one, but I think there are two things here, and most of the time in our day-to-day life also, be it in a relationship or in the family or wherever, even in the office also, there is always a tug of war between yourself and the person in front of you who is probably taking an advantage of you. There is always a tug of war. You always think, I love that person, I like that person, let it be, let it happen. What would happen if I help that person? He just need my support. But on the other side, at the same time, you see, you know that probably that person is taking an undue advantage of you. It may be possible because that person does not reciprocate the same love to you as you do to him or her. It may be possible, which is fine, because when we love someone, when we are having a good relationship with someone, that doesn't mean that the person in front of me also has the same feeling about me. We cannot force the person, right? So we have to accept here that it's not about that person only, it's about me, it's about myself, what I am thinking. If I am saying that person is a loved one for me, then I have to think what I want, right? But but there is very important thing here, which I think I must tell here, that how strong we are. What is the meaning of how strong we are? Strong doesn't mean the physical strongness. It's about emotion. It's about your inner strength, probably the soul, and probably much more beyond that. Where we stand, it all depends on that, in fact. What I see is, if I have decided that yes, this person is the loved one for me, which is there, suppose, then I have to be with that person, not just helplessly. I'm not saying I'm helpless. If I become helpless, then it is very difficult and very different situation. I'm not saying that I want to be helpless. If I have to help someone, if I have to support someone, I must be in a situation to help and support that person, which means I must be strengthened through different kinds of tools inside me. And I think for that, what I always say, I always admire one specific couplet from Survey, the Constitution of Spirituality, written by Sadhguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj, where he says, Bal chhaya prabhu se mile, purna kam sab hoy, prarambha prabhu se kare, gati adhyatmik hoy. Which means that I need to be strengthened. And that strength comes from the God himself. He would definitely help, and he helps everyone. The Almighty helps everyone, irrespective of who that person is. But that is one thing which is given to all of us. But along with that, we have to maintain that strength. We have to refine our strength. And here, what I see is, as strong as I would be. Strong doesn't mean, again, I'm saying with a very hard person. No, strong doesn't mean that. Strong here, I mean, something would not disturb me. The bad situation, the unwanted situation, the difficult situation, as I mentioned earlier, I would stay as calm as possible, as calm as possible. That can happen only when I am having strength, so that I can absorb all those difficult situations in my calmness. If that would not happen, then one day or another, even if I love someone, I may get irritated, because the irritation is not because of that person. Actually, the irritation comes from me within. Maybe I'm not able to help or support that person. I feel myself as helpless, and because of that, now things starts from myself. And even if I know that that person is taking undue advantage of me, but still I was reciprocating in a different way to him, now if I'm irritated, I will start reciprocating exactly the same way, or probably in a different way of reaction. So that comes on how much strength I have. We need to strengthen ourselves every day. Every day means every day. And that's why meditation comes with a very powerful impact on us. Even if we practice just 10 minutes meditation in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, it brings so much of incredible things within us. It refines us. It brings lots of positive energy to us in such a way that the negative energy around us, whichever way it is in front of us, will just simply vanish as soon as it just strikes the positive energy. So what I see is, if those type of situation comes in front of me, I don't get disturbed. I don't, because I have to stay as I am. Probably, one thing, I think we have been given lots of examples sometime here and there, that there was a saint who was meditating at one place, and there was a Scorpio which passed through by and just hit that saint. And that saint wake up from his meditation, and then he was about to hit through his hand or a stone or something to that Scorpio. But suddenly he stopped. And just let that Scorpio go. What came to his mind which made him stop is that this Scorpio is created by the God himself, and this Scorpio has its own nature. And right now, this Scorpio behave based on his own nature, because he found something in front of his way, which probably he found that it is a danger for him, and that's how he tried to protect himself by hitting me. It's okay. That's his characteristic. That's its characteristic. That's how it is made up of. I am a saint. Is my characteristic, is my property the way that I have to hit it, or I have to absorb it? Do I need to be disturbed, or I need to be as calm, as still as I am? Why should I leave my own property? Why should I leave my own characteristics? So in a similar basis, when we love someone, when we are maintaining a relationship, when we are having a relationship with one person in the family or outside, what is the objective? What is our characteristic? Is it that we are loving that person, or we want something back from that? Are we stick to our own characteristic, or we are changing in a different way as and when the environment comes in front of us? So I try to look at it in this way, that if something has happened, or something bad is happening, or even something very good is happening, what I am, whether I need to learn something more from here onward, or I have to behave differently, or I have to absorb it. Sadhguru Siddhafal Devji Maharaj has mentioned one more couplet in Swarved, which I think is applicable to everyone, irrespective of age, gender, where the person is. And the couplet says something like this: Grahan karo gun jagat se, ay gun dekh na koi, ay gun dekho aap mein, tyag yatan kar soy. Which means that outside this world, there are so many people around us. Our objective should be to learn positive things as much as possible from people around you and the environment around us. We have to learn the good things. And whatever the bad things are there in somebody, inside someone, or someone is doing bad thing here and there, just don't let it come to you, so that you also has that characteristic. No, you have to protect yourself so that that bad characteristic doesn't come to you. When we have to see a person in front of us, we have to see good thing into that. The bad thing should be let it go, but with little action, so that we can rectify, we can correct that. If there is someone who is loved one to me, I will have a communication with that person so that he can understand. But it may be possible that it's my understanding. For that person, it may not still be a bad thing. It may be possible. I think it is a bad movement. I think it's a bad activity, but that person may not think the same way. So my job, my activity, my way would be, what I think, I will communicate to that person, but I will not push that person for anything. I will leave it to that person's judgment to take the right decision on the basis of what information I have provided. Abhinaji.
Gee, yes, yes. And as you say that that feels like the best way to help someone who is doing damaging things, because often a person in that state, like you said, they don't think that what they're doing is bad or is damaging. So giving them just the what you think in as kind of way as possible, and then stepping away so that you aren't exposed to that negative energy as much as you could be, definitely seems like the healthiest way to just help yourself and help that person, definitely. um so I was just thinking now, when you're younger, we all have this experience of, when you change schools, or when you start school for the first time, or, even later in life when you enter the professional world and you join a new team for the first time, people have impressions of you, and they will judge you based on maybe the characteristics you have, the sound of your voice, the way you look. And sometimes that can make it very difficult to form these relationships. As an example, if you join a company where primarily everyone is from a certain background, and you're from a different background to everyone, there's certain impressions that people can have, and in the worst case, they can be very biased, inaccurate, and rude at times impressions of you. So in those scenarios where you really want to be kind to people, you want to be forming these connections with people, but they're not willing to because they have a certain judgment or impression of you, what do the masters say we should do? Should we, try to make it clear to them who we actually are? Should we leave it alone? Should we step away? What should we do in that scenario?
This is so lively, Avinaji. You made me recall few things what happened with me during my study time.
Gee.
Let me first explain that situation, and probably that was my way, and I think that way would be applicable to some people, but that may not be the universal solution. But I'll come to the universal solution as well. But let me elaborate a little bit more. What happened with me? I don't know. Such kind of situations happen with many people, one way or another. So what happened? Um, I went to another city, metro city in Delhi, in India, for higher studies, means graduation after my higher secondary, after class 12th. And in the university, I, I got a hostel also. I was staying there. But when I saw there are so many people, roughly around 500 students were there at that time in that hostel. Mostly in your classroom, there are not that many people, but in the hostel, there are so many different variety of people, right? So you observe, you interact with them, and there are lots of different things happen in the hostel. I had an inferiority complex. That inferiority complex was that I'm from a village, and now I am in a metropolitan city. How do I look? What is my dressing sense? What is my accent? Whether my English is good or not, how that other person, other student is looking like, how his accent is, or how much he knows or she knows, what is the dressing sense. And there are so many things. First time it came to my mind, and I saw the world on that basis, and I was so much inferior feeling I had that time, and I was dumb for few days, actually few days.
Yeah.
And I was a very strong person, and I never give up anything. So what I did, okay, let me find what is the best way. I cannot change my dressing sense immediately because that requires some other effort, which I don't have that skill set. I need to change my accent. Probably that will not happen that easily. I need to be smart enough. I don't know how to be that. But what is one thing? Why should I change? If I don't feel like being that way, why should I be that way? But I cannot live like this. I cannot. I have to stand out in the society. That's how I probably everyone thinks. So what I think at that, I thought at that time point, okay, what is my basis? What is my basis? Is it strong enough? If my basis is strong enough, I think thereafter, there is no need to worry about anything and everything. Everyone is same or different, doesn't matter. Everyone has its own characteristic, but how strong that characteristic is, how much we are shining out of that characteristic is more important. A very simple example, if there is a painter, right, he does a very nice painting. He doesn't bother about what is his dressing sense, how his hairstyle is, because he is known by his painting, not by his appearance, not by his vocal variety. He is known by his painting, that skill set. So although at that time point when I was young, 17, 18 years old, I I knew that I had not many skills. I had many talents, whatever it is, be it sports or painting or drawing or anything. But I'm so much feeling inferior because my communication skill is not good. My dressing sense is not good. People outside are so smartly behaving. I cannot. Okay, hold on. Let me first strengthen my base. What is my base? My basis is my study. I'm here to study first. Let me create the foundation of my study, and based on which I will shine. And I took 1 year. Believe me, I took 1 year to bring my position to that stage. And when the examination came, I stood first in the university at that time point. And then I thought, okay, what happens now? Now, everyone was coming to me, congratulating me, talking to me, asking me what else I do. But before that, I was just don't know, someone who is there already. Okay, fine. But now people are coming to me. I'm not saying that I'm now egoistic thereafter, or I'm thinking, oh, now I have found out. Oh, no one stands in front of me. No, I was still as it is. But now that inferiority complex has reduced. I'm still not saying that that had gone out. Still, there was, but it was reduced. What happened here? And from there onward, I learned a lesson that strengthen yourself, strengthen your basis. When I grew, and now I'm adult, I still have that feeling. What is my basis? Now I have realized my basis is not my studies. My basis is not just my job. I'm not known just by my job. I'm known by probably myself and who I am. Do I know that basis? I'm a human. What are the characteristics of human? Am I following that? I'm a soul. Do I know the characteristics of the soul? What is the objective of the soul? How it has to move? What it has to do? Have I strengthened myself? Am I strengthening my soul itself or not? So that's the basis correction which I have been continuously doing. But what I see is correction of basis is very important. Whoever it is, doesn't matter whether we are in a inferiority complex situation or even in a superiority complex situation. In either case, we have to correct our basis all the times. Without that, it is very difficult to sustain wherever and whatever we do. Whenever we are doing some big tasks, big things, we can be shaken up. We can be, but we need to strengthen ourselves. Sadhguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj told few things in Swarved. Again, I'm referring to Swarved, where he says, I'm reading out one specific couplet from Swarved. He said, Gupt agin hai kasht mein, prakat ghise se hoy, sarvapi antar kasha, prakat sadhana soy. Which means caste means wood. So when we are rubbing two woods together in a forest or anywhere, the fire appears out of it. But in a normal situation, it doesn't have any fire. We can't see the fire inside that wood. But when we are rubbing two woods together, that fire comes out of it. That has not come from somewhere out. That fire is already inside that wood. And with a specific process, that process of friction, the process of rubbing those two woods together creates, generates, or brings that fire out. On a similar basis, every one of us, We have lot many things inside. The soul has so much of power. We all, everyone, doesn't matter whether we are talking about a beggar, whether we are talking about a king, whether we are talking about Superman, whether we are talking about someone else, whether I'm inferior, I'm superior, whoever, male, female, young, old, whoever it is, we have a soul power. We have a soul power. But how much it is activated may be a question mark. It is there, just like as the fire is inside that wood with a specific process, that fire can come out. Similarly, through regular practice, through meditation, with the blessings of the master, the blessings of the God, that's the process through which the thing which is hidden inside us can come out and makes us a very, very fine human being. If I am at an inferiority complex situation, I try to do something to strengthen myself. And I think the universal law is that it is there already. We need to have one method or another based on which we can establish ourselves in that truth. And that method is, as per my understanding, as per my experience, is nothing other than Vihangam Yoga. Abhinavji.
So, folks, that brings us to the end of another week on the Vihangam Yoga Global Online Forum. I just want to say, a heartfelt thanks to Subhash for sharing that story near the end there. And it's not even a story, it's a real event from his life. I think it's stories like these which remind us of the power of applying spirituality to your life. Often, I found in my own life that taking that one extra breath before you say something is just a small example of how the principles of spirituality can manifest in your life. Just taking that small breath can anchor you, can ground you in a patience that other people are amazed by, which I've seen in so many people from the spiritual community. And Subhash's example around, not giving up and not, succumbing to this inferiority complex that he mentioned at the end there. It's a story that we've heard so many times in so many different forms in the community of spirituality. But every time you hear it, it feels new, it feels inspiring, it feels motivating. And I hope that you all felt the same way. So, with that, I want to bring a close to this second part in this 3-part series of on forming meaningful relationships, including the last question we had there around forming relationships and forming connections when it feels like everything is against you, which is often the case in our own lives. And next week we'll be convening for the last part in this 3-part series with Subhash once again, discussing another range of topics in this area. So once again, thank you all for joining. And if you have any questions, any thoughts you want to share, please do reach out to us. We do have a Slido link available, slido.com/VOGOF, if you want to post any questions there. And any of our instructors, any of our members of the community will be reaching out to you and answering those questions. We may even take them up live next time. So with that, Jai Sudev, and we'll see you all once again next week.